which is the largest urban area in Scandinavia, made of 14 islands, connected by 57 bridges, over 2 waters, Lake Mälaren and the Baltic Sea.
We're in Stockholm and we're going to take you back to the 70s. The Abba Museum is over there behind the Tivoli Fun Fair. And 200 metres past the hop-on, hop-off bus ticket place, you'll find the ferry.
We will also take you to the fascinating Vasa Museum.
In 1628, Vasa set sail on her maiden voyage, and here it is in all its glory, and then it sank in Stockholm harbour.
And the Abba Museum.
If this phone rings, it's Abba calling.
But first, we will start in the Old Town, where at midday you can see the changing of the guard. But hey, here's a plan. Up early, ferry to the island, see Abba before it's busy, then the Vasa, and get back for the changing of the guard. Have the afternoon in the Old Town near the shuttle bus. Welcome to Doris Visits.
Stockholm is a collection of islands joined by bridges. We're going to look at the Old Town and starting with the King's residence. The Royal Palace in Stockholm is the official residence of His Majesty the King. Designed by Nicodemus Tessin the Younger, the Royal Palace is in the style of the Italian Baroque. Completed in 1754, it's partly built on the remains of the former Tre Kronor, 3 Crowns, castle, which was destroyed by fire in 1697. The interiors feature a selection of furniture and interiors which date chiefly from the 18th and 19th centuries. The royal apartments include the Hall of State, the apartments of the Orders of Chivalry, the Treasury and the Tre Kronor Museum. Just outside the outer courtyard, where we watch the changing of the guard, is the Royal Cathedral or the Royal Chapel, and it is a functioning parish church. We're going to head into the Old Town. Stockholm is one of the largest and best preserved medieval city centres in Europe. This building was an old palace from the 1700s. I've just bought a fridge magnet in this lovely shop, and the charming man said that he would accept any currency from anywhere in the world because we haven't got krona. Here in the Old Town there seems to be more mentions of Nobel than Abba or IKEA. This is called the Great Square, and it used to have markets all the time, but now it's only at Christmas time they have their Christmas markets here. This is a beautiful glass shop, but the champagne glasses are 124 euros a pair. This is the German church in the middle of the German area of the town. This sign means the black man. That's because there were 2 lots of friars, the Grey Friars and the Black Friars, and the Black Friars were down that way. Bit of orientation, the shuttle bus is behind me over there. Walk over the bridge, past the hop-on, hop-off bus ticket office to the ferry. When you get off the shuttle behind me over the other side of the bridge, you walk across the bridge, past the palace and down to the ferry. And 200 metres past the hop-on, hop-off bus ticket place, you'll find the ferry that will take us to the island for the Vasa Museum. This is the ferry to Djurgården. It's 1 stop on the way, but 2 stops on the way back because it stops off at a little island, so don't jump off there. Ask if you're worried. If you want to visit the Abba Museum or go to the Tivoli amusement park, this is where you get off the ferry, and you can hire a bicycle if you want to have a travel around the island. We're in the middle of Sweden and we can't get away from these guys. Obviously, we made the film with status quo in Fiji, now we're in Stockholm, and so are they. We're off the ferry, past the fun fair, and it's clearly signposted, follow the dock round to the Vasa Museum. Google Maps will take you along the road past the Abba Museum. Just walked up from the ferry, the Tivoli amusements are on my right and Abba Museum is on my left.
ABBA the Museum is an interactive exhibition about the pop group ABBA that opened in Stockholm in May 2013. It was inspired by the Beatles Museum in Liverpool. I was really keen to see it. I love ABBA. These are the costumes that various artists wore in Eurovision Song Contests, not just ABBA but many successful contestants. There are photos of all the members of ABBA from childhood, growing up, and you can listen to their personal stories if you purchase a handset and just touch it on the stars that are next to the various exhibits. They speak of very personal memories. It's obvious that from a young age they were all interested in music. There are photos of them as children and also some of their parents. It's just like looking at someone's personal family photo albums. There was a firm friendship between Benny and Björg, and they describe how they met and fell in love with their other halves. The museum is a very nostalgic trip down memory lane.
So Frida is talking to me at the moment.
Björn began his musical career at 18 when he fronted the Hootenanny Singers, a popular Swedish folk skiffle group. Benny was a member of the Hepstars, also known as the Swedish Beatles. The Hootenanny Singers and the Hepstars sometimes crossed paths, and Björn and Benny decided to write together. Agnetha sang with a local dance band. She came to Stockholm to record 2 of her own songs. This led to her having a #1 in Sweden. During filming of a Swedish TV special in 1969, she met and fell in love with Björn, and they married in July 1971. Frida was born in Norway and sang from the age of 13 with various dance bands. In 1967, she won a national talent competition. She met Benny while performing at the Melody Festival, and again a few weeks later on tour. They became a couple.
If this phone rings, it's Abba calling. Abba's manager, Sticken Andersson, had a major effect on their career. Sticken Andersson's office, he was a great mentor to the band.
This is the sound recording desk and the instruments on which so many ABBA hits were written and recorded. It's amazing to think that hits like Fernando and Dancing Queen, my personal favourite, all began here. There are guitars, pianos, drums, percussion, which when mixed with their fantastic voices became a recipe for major success. They were everywhere. There is so much memorabilia, costumes in the making, shelves of material, and the sewing machines which were used to make their iconic outfits. There is even a mock-up of Agnetha and Frida's dressing room.
There's a stage here and you can pretend to be the band, you can stand on stage and record. There are recording booths where you can go in and sing.
At each point, there's a description of how they felt and what it was like to be there at that time. There's a mock-up of their kitchens, very tidy, puppets grinning inanely, a bit scary.
5th member.
This museum is such fun. It really does take you back in time. The costumes were completely outrageous. The platform boots, The glitter, the headbands, the miniskirts, the feathers, the trouser suits.
Wow, amazing. Look at all these gold discs.
There are so many awards. It's so sad that their marriages both broke up, and they even speak about how that happened in surprisingly frank and personal revelations. ABBA has never officially announced the end of the group, but it has long been considered dissolved. Their final public appearance together was on the Late Late Breakfast Show, live from Stockholm, on the 11th of December in 1982. Bjorn and Benny went on to write the musical Chess and still collaborate and are firm friends. Agnetha and Frida both pursued solo careers. Agnetha became something of a recluse for a while, but she released a solo album in May 2013. She said she took singing lessons prior to the recording because she felt that her voice was a bit rusty. I would really recommend a trip here.
There's also an area which is a Music Hall of Fame. It's a really interesting museum.
I always wanted to be Agnetha.
In my dreams. Next to the Abba Museum, there's a beautiful garden restaurant. The Tivoli amusements, the Abba Museum, the aquarium are all on this island, so if you've only got a day, a ferry across here is a very good idea. The streets are beautifully clean, the bus stops are really accessible, there's flowers on the edge of the roads, it's a very nice place to visit. I love it when we find these. It's a braille map for the blind to get an experience. And if you follow the signs, you can come along the dock and it's quicker. When you come into the Vasa Museum, there are two separate queues, one for groups and one if you've come under your own steam. And if you're dying for the loo, go past the queue and on the right-hand side, there are ample toilets. The wreck was salvaged in 1961 after 333 years under the sea and is 98% original. In 1628, Vasa set sail on her maiden voyage, and here it is in all its glory, and then it sank in Stockholm harbour.
Modern ships and cruise ships have their weight right at the bottom, like the engines, but galleons have to have their cannons and cannonballs at the top, above the waterline.
This is the capstan where up to 16 men would turn it to lift the sails. Would being the operative word because it only sailed for 25 minutes. The large number of cannons above the waterline all made the ship top heavy. This really is a great museum. You've got to come and visit. When the Vasa was launched, there was about 133 crew, but also they were allowed to bring their families and their friends on board. Luckily, when the Vasa sank, most of the people were up on top. Can you imagine all the friends and families coming to one side to wave goodbye to their friends on the shore, and the horror as the ship keeled over? So this is the model of the ship keeling over and the terror of the people on the shore. The problem was the ship was too narrow and too tall. The shipbuilders at the time didn't work from drawings or engineering, they worked from experience and bravado. Most of the people survived because as they were so close they could swim to the shore. The people that died, about 50 of them, were working below ship and they got trapped. They found the skeletons of the people that were on board and they are laid out for viewing, and through osteology they can determine their gender, age and height, and they've built up a likeness for them and have given them a name.
From the building of the ship to raising it from the mud 333 years later, it's all here.
The work on the ship still continues and you can see it up close and personal. The rear of the ship is normally the most fascinating, and there's an incredible amount of work that goes into the sculptures as illustrated here.
They explain how the carvings have been restored to their former glory.
During a 12-year period, more than 1,000 pigment samples have been taken.
The effort the museum has gone to explain everything draws you in. The pigments rise up to the top. King Gustav. 2 griffins, Charles IX's heraldic animals, are carved, holding the royal crown above the young Gustavus Adolphus's head. Every carving represents something.
In short, she was too tall and too narrow, and that made her top heavy. A sister ship was made which was a metre wider, and she survived for 30 years. One of the best museums I have ever visited. Unfortunately, we haven't had enough time to do everything we wanted. Just to orientate you, the King's Palace is over there. All these bridges join up. This one takes you across to a beautiful island, and then you can get a ferry across to the Tivoli amusement park island and the Abba Museum. This is the beautiful view as we leave Stockholm and head out to Tallinn. The sea is like glass, not a ripple. Doris Visits. We've got films of trips and excursions. It will make the trip so much easier and much more enjoyable.
Doris Visits, cruise chat sites, port videos, ship tours. Come over and see us. Just search Doris Visits or find us on dorisvisits.com. We try and put a little more fun in cruising than there already is. And there's a lot. Please like our videos and subscribe to our channel. Doris Visits.